Hello world. We continue with the shocked expression of Ada from seeing her dead father. Going to the present, we see her pained facial expression from recollecting those memories. She says that all her memories of her father have been overrun with memories of that day. Raoul exclaims excitedly that she should get revenge. Ada calls Raoul despicable for relishing in someone else's revenge. In return, he says that all acts of revenge should be relished. He goes on to say that revenge is often viewed as meaningless and brings nothing. But to Raoul, that is simply a lie that only people who have never gotten revenge say. Furthermore, Raoul exclaims that revenge does bring something. It brings a pleasant rapture inside his chest and a nerve-wracking palpitation. Ada says she is different from Raoul because she is exacting revenge for her dead family. Raoul calls that dangerous thinking, and Ada is quite confused by that. He says that she'll understand what he means someday. Moving from that topic, he asks her if she'll be able to exact her revenge solo. She wasn't confident in her response, and Raoul could tell that. He tells her that they both have mutual goals. After all, they both want revenge on Wendell and the creep. But the problem is that Raoul has a rule for his acts of revenge. The rule is that he can only get back at those who directly harmed him, his family, or his comrades. Wendell only deceived him, so he can't do anything to Wendell. This is why he needs Ada's help. Raoul wants her to take his hands and help him, but the choice all comes down to her as he can't force her. This is quite a tense situation, and Ada is hard at thought. She didn't think things would go like this, nor is she sure why he wants her help and how she'll help him. But this is a great chance for her to avenge her family. She makes her choice and takes Raoul's hand. Raoul is pleased with this extremely and asks Ada to get along well with him since they're comrades now. He tells her to enjoy all of this with a huge smile, just like him. But she refuses. She asks Raoul how she is supposed to help. After all, she can't fight and can only use imitation magic. Raoul tells her to calm down. Allingham doesn't know how to fight, so all they have to do is beat Wendell. She exclaims that Wendell is too powerful for her. She has heard of rumors of him having unfathomable magic prowess. She adds that since Raoul was in the same hero's party as him, he should have the best idea of how to defeat Wendell. Raoul makes a comment saying that he feels bad for the Demon King since he was defeated by a bunch of bastards. Raoul responds to Ada saying he does know a lot about Wendell, like his weaknesses. He calls Wendell weak-minded. This is true since Wendell only cares about his public image and is a very vain person. All they'll have to do is crush him mentally. Ada inquires about her. She will do a mental attack. In response, Raoul gets up close and personal and then stabs her. We see her lifeless body on the floor. But from whose eyes? Raoul's. By stabbing her, and probably using magic too, Raoul managed to make her soul enter his body. She is pretty shocked, and says this is like when she used imitation magic to look like Raoul. She thinks she is using imitation to look like Raoul, but is very confused as to why her body is laid flat right in front of her. Just then Raoul interjects, asking her if she knows what's going on now. Hearing a voice in her head, she is scared and screams like a girl. Raoul asks her not to scream like a girl while in his body because it's weird. She asks why there is a voice in her head, and Raoul tells her that he is also in the body. She asks if he stabbed her and other to cast dark magic, and he says it's true. She says it would have been better if he told her beforehand. He further explains that her soul is only in his body for the time being, and that her own body has actually just been sleeping. Raoul asks her not to worry because he made sure to catch her body before it fell to the ground. Anyway, she asks Raoul what this has to do with the mental attack. He says this is just a part of it. She asks her, and he in return tells her that she lacks the power to exact her revenge. He tells her that he'll lend his power to her through his body, so she should feel free to use his body however she pleases. She is pretty surprised by this, but she quickly calms herself and assesses the situation. She knows Raoul is not the kind to do things out of the kindness of his heart. She directly asks Raoul if he is gonna ask for something in return. Without hesitation, he agrees. She is pretty unhappy about this, so Raoul assures her that he will not ask for something outrageous in return. He says he is in this body as well, and if he feels the need, he will give her advice. But every part of the revenge against Wendell and Allingham has to be exacted by her own free will, so he will play no part in it. She is pretty happy about this as she thought that he would ask for something insane. The former hero asks her if she understands now. She nods, and he calls her a good girl. Bro needs to chill out. Anyway, she asks him how to use magic. He tells her that he will teach her mid-action. But for now, he tells her to hold out her arm facing towards the bathroom door. Using a magic spell, he plans to keep her body safe in the meantime. Raoul thinks to himself that so far things have gone as he predicted. Raoul tells Ada that he believes that she should be able to control his body freely right now. He tells her not to be surprised if he exchanges bodies with her or returns to controlling his body down the line. She in response tells him that she won't be surprised if anything happens at that point. Raoul laughs and calls her brave. She does express her discomfort about her thoughts sounding like Raoul's voice and the actual Raoul speaking in her mind. In return, Raoul expresses his discomfort hearing his voice in a feminine manner, even going as far as to call it repulsive. Raoul then tells her that they should hurry up and find Wendell and the creep. Ada says they should be at the innermost hall of the building because they appraise demons there every day after all. While licking his lips, Raoul says that all that is left for them to do is to relish in the revenge. He adds that from now on Ada is to lead, telling her that they will now exterminate those avaricious monsters. We see a magician and an old creepy guy's henchman beating on a group of demon children. They see a little girl demon unable to move and ask her when they permit her to rest. Before she could even respond, the manlet socks her in the guts. But oh, it gets worse. Without even giving her time to recover, he immediately smashes her head into the concrete of the dungeon floor. We see that her face has been disfigured and things start to look even worse for her. Ada is hesitating to kill the guards. Why, I don't know. It's probably fear though. This ticks Raoul off a bit, so he uses talk no jutsu on her. He reminds her that she is getting revenge for her murdered family. He thinks maybe she only wants Allingham the creep PDF file. So he tells her that he isn't the only one involved in the traffic. The guards are practically as guilty as he is. Ada, still not moving, prompts Raoul to use even more chakra for his talk no jutsu. He tells her that she can kill 2 stones by game-ending the guards. Not only will she be getting her revenge, but she will also be saving lives. The demons will be freed if she beats the guards. Ada concedes, declaring that everyone there is the target of her revenge. Raoul, seeing the burning rage in her, chuckles in excitement. Ada in Raoul's body comes up to the guards. The guards are pretty surprised, noting that this is the first time the hero Raoul is coming down there. They further ask him if he is ready for the evaluation that night. They wonder what kind of children Raoul is into. Raoul tells Ada to hold out her hand and use the incantation he taught her. We see that the incantation she used instantly severed the heads of the guards. She then kneels and chants another incantation, causing a rock formation to impale a bunch of the guards. The guards are pretty surprised Raoul is attacking them. After all, they probably thought he was into all that bad shit too. The thought of him game-ending them probably never occurred because they knew they would instantly lose. As Ada continues to follow Raoul's instructions, she notes how light his body and mana are, and how even despite that, it's so strong. She then uses another magic that instantly mutates and disfigures this one guy. Raoul tells her to grab the guy and throw him at the others. As she does, he induces another incantation, and she instantly causes his body to sprout out blood spikes at lightning speed. Of course, the guys on the receiving end of this spell were instantly pierced and died. Mounting the hill of corpses, Ada pants and shakes. Raoul assumes it has to do with this being her first murder. Oh well, he'll just take back his body for now. He announces to the demon kids that they are now free. Hooray. The demons are skeptical because they know he is the same guy who was working with Allingham. Raoul reveals that he is actually not Raoul and just acting in his appearance. What a great excuse, Raoul. They still don't trust him, so he pulls the Giga Chad move, and Pinky swears to them that he will go to every single room and game end every single guard there. Not only that, he will find and end Allingham and the Archmage Wendell. Using magic to rid them of their shackles, he tells them to follow him and see the death of their captors. After using his professional skills as a politician, he gains the trust of the kids, and they begin to chant, "Kill them." Raoul takes great pleasure in this, and Ada is now reconsidering why she works with this bozo. So as Raoul promised, he and Ada went on a deleting spree. As they do, they are championed by other demons. They yell at the top of their lungs that they will regain their freedom. Then they halt suddenly. They are right up against the door where Archmage Wendell and Allingham reside. As the door is opened, we are met with Wendell and Allingham waiting for Raoul. It seems the chants of the demons reached them. Allingham, standing behind the mage, tries to plead ignorance as to why Raoul is there. But Ada in Raoul's body and appearance clarifies she is here to delete them. And she does so mad zesty. In fear of Raoul, Allingham, the chopped weird guy, tries to intimidate Raoul with the presence of Archmage Wendell. Suddenly the mage starts laughing. This confuses everyone. Then Wendell reveals it is because of how pretentiously this fake is acting. Allingham, being the low-grade human he is surprised at this. He is pretty mad Wendell didn't tell him before. Wendell doesn't care, of course. He just says he'll make quick work of the imposter. Without hesitation, Raoul sends like 10 beams of magic at Wendell. Seeing such magical prowess, Wendell is speechless, and a single drop of sweat runs down his cheek. This scene sent chills down my neck. Anyway, Wendell swears that he couldn't sense that much magical power from them a while ago. Raoul says it is the real him, and he just wanted to say hi since they haven't seen each other in such a long time. Wendell says that it is impossible. Raoul, making one of his signature faces, says that Wendell should know best if he is actually Raoul. We are given the prelude to Raoul and Wendell's relationship. We see Raoul getting bullied in what seems to be a school to raise potential heroes. This was probably right after his village was annihilated. The two kids then get burnt, wondering who did it. We see it as a young Wendell trying to defend Raoul. He asks if Raoul is all right, and we see this as how the start of what could have been an extravagant relationship. He introduces himself and reveals he already knows Raoul's name. Innocent kid Raoul's tummy rumbles, and Wendell invites Raoul to come eat with him. We are told from this point on that Raoul and Wendell were the leaders of their generation. We are also shown that Wendell paid those punks to bully Raoul, probably a ploy to get closer to Raoul since he was the strongest of their class and most likely to become the hero. This also shows us that Wendell was always just a bad person. And also why I like this manga. Villains aren't given a reason for you to feel sorry for them, even despite their terrible actions. Many years down the line, they were ordered by the kind to subjugate the Demon King. So as comrades, they set out on their journey. Along their journey, Raoul goes to see his sister along with his party. She welcomes all of them, and Wendell is immediately a ladies' man by not only complimenting the flowers on her hair, but also saying her cooking is the best he has ever had. Even Raoul notices this and tells him not to fall in love with his older sister. Later into the night, we see Wendell and Raoul's sister talking. She thanks Wendell. She says she is happy that Wendell is there for Raoul. She also says she was worried that he would eventually break down due to the stress. Going on, she adds that ever since Raoul met Wendell, he has become more optimistic. Even with subjugating the demon kind, he is now looking forward to surviving. Wendell says that gratitude is only natural. Wendell, while putting on a smile, says she should stop worrying about him and Wendell will protect Raoul even if it costs his life. So Raoul's older sister starts using Riz and tells Wendell he is adorable and that Raoul always wrote about him in his letters, and that she has been looking forward to meeting Wendell. She also adds that Wendell shouldn't sacrifice his life for Raoul because he is also important to her. And just as I thought they were about to do the no-no, she starts acting like a normal person and asks Wendell to return safely with Raoul after defeating the Demon King. While smirking, Wendell says he will definitely do so. And while looking at her melons, he says to himself he will definitely return for her. We see the shenanigans of Raoul and gang. Christiana, the saintess, tells Raoul that they have to go ahead and subjugate the Demon King, and that they are already late. Raoul says he can't just let these people die. Wendell backs Raoul up, saying that the people right in front of them take priority. Raoul monologues about how their party was trash. As they helped those villagers, the main Demon King army went on to unalive thousands. But even despite that, Raoul never doubted his relationship with Wendell. Due to their lifelong friendship, he thought Wendell was someone he could rely on, but he was wrong. It was all a ploy. Also, I wonder what Wendell is reading. Hopefully not One Piece. Anyway, staring into the night sky, Raoul is pretty nervous about tomorrow, seeing as it is the day they fight the Demon King. Keeping up his lie, Wendell tells Raoul to chill out because he has him, Wendell. Also, why is this a-hole always eating an apple? Does he think he is Steve Jobs or something? Well, whatever. Raoul says he is just wondering what is up with those young soldiers from the slums. You know, the same ones that were turned into water-fiending monsters. Yeah, those ones. Wendell notes that Raoul is a little attached to them, and Raoul says it's because it feels like he adopted a little brother. He adds that he also can't stop thinking of how he will be in UNC when his sis gives birth. Wendell excitedly asks, "Isn't it next month that Lady Claire is giving birth?" And Raoul responds with an affirmative, "Yeah." Damn. It feels weird to see how innocent Raoul looks in this panel. Anyway, Raoul is very happy about having a brother-in-law and becoming an uncle. Raoul says he never thought he would have a larger family, and instead, he always thought it would just be him and his sister. Wendell, using Riz, says that Raoul is his family, and Raoul is touched by this statement. Wendell adds that Raoul should stop being so gloomy, and we get a familiar quote. "If you are foolish, you will be taken from, and if you are kind, you will be exploited." Raoul asks Wendell if he is going to be yet. Wendell says yes, and that he was nervous too. Obviously, he is lying, and after this, he makes his goofy smirk and burns that thing he was reading from before. It also looks like a royal decree thing, meaning that he was personally given royal orders to do something behind Raoul's back. He also says it's time for the real performance. And we are informed that the next day was the day they subjugated the Demon King. Now we are post-Demon King subjugation. We are explained that Raoul immediately went to Macaulay Village after subjugating the Demon King. We are also told that he ignored the princess's letters of invitation. These letters were along the lines of, "I would like to speak with you in person," and "I would like to grant you a reward," but Raoul could not care less. All that was on his mind was the face of a village kid from Macaulay. But oh, don't worry, he isn't a Dr. Disrespect. The kids want him to come back so they can play with him once again. They even made it a promise. We see Wendell snickering to himself like a middle school girl about how gullible Raoul is. Raoul stumbles upon a pile of corpses. He is shell-shocked. This is not only because it is Macaulay Village, but also because the Demon King was subjugated. So then, who would commit such a massacre? Then we hear a twig snap. Then the sudden voice of a woman saying, "Capture the hero." This is the captain of the knights, Sandra. Raoul spots Wendell and asks why he is on Sandra's side. Wendell is then immediately pushed forward by Sandra, telling us that he is also captured. Raoul asks Sandra why she is doing this. "Aren't you here to help the village?" We then see Wendell smirk, thinking that the Demon King subjugation was only the beginning. Sandra explains that she has been searching for Raoul. She calls him irreverent for ignoring the princess's summons and letters. Raoul desperately shouts at her to answer him. He asks why they are being arrested. Sandra rhetorically says, "Wasn't it your doing obviously that makes no sense?" So then Sandra gives her reasoning. According to this so-called knight, it has to be Raoul and Wendell because they're the only ones capable of wiping a whole village out quickly. Expectedly, Raoul denies all of this. Sandra says he should voice all his claims to the princess in person. And this backstory makes Raoul's revenge against Sandra all the more satisfying, especially what he does to her in the future. Raoul tells them to stop playing around and that whoever destroyed the village should still be nearby. He pleads with them to let him find them. Immediately, he starts going Super Saiyan. This pleases Wendell because it is rare to see Raoul mad. The eye patch dude that cannibalized earlier tells Raoul he still isn't aware of his circumstances. Two little kids are then brought in. These siblings are from Macaulay Village, and this sends a chill down Raoul's spine. They inform him if he moves, then they will kill the children. At this point, Raoul realizes what's going on. Just then Wendell raises his voice, telling Sandra that controlling their bodies with magic is dirty. At this point, Raoul can't take it anymore and tries to stop Sandra. She holds Wendell by the head and tells Raoul to stay still. As Raoul's brain is in overdrive, trying to understand this whole situation and decide what to do next, Wendell the jackass is over there snickering like a little girl, trying his best not to laugh. Sandra asks Raoul to hand over his weapons, and he is stuck in thought thinking about what to do. Just then, Wendell immediately shouts, telling Raoul to run away and leave him behind. Raoul says he could never do something like that. He also says he is sure that there is no chance they actually managed to seal Wendell's magic. Therefore, they must be using something against him. At this point, Raoul rightfully starts crashing out and throws away his sword, telling Sandra everything is gonna backfire against her. He then commands Sandra to lead him to the royal capital, which is where the princess resides. Standing tall and taking a deep breath, Raoul adds that justice will prevail and that both he and Wendell won't run away. Wendell thinks he's him and starts making the Raoul signature grin. I guess Wendell is one of the main components as to why Raoul is so unhinged. Now that Raoul has given up his sword, Sandra picks it up and starts being a sore loser again. She says that Raoul giving up so easily was unexpected and underwhelming. So in quotes, that person will not be satisfied. She gives Raoul's sword to the kids and via manipulation magic, which honestly seems like dark magic. The kids are made to mercilessly end each other with one of them stabbing the other. Of course, Raoul shouts in opposition the whole time. He is even blocked by the knights. He mentions that his holy sword was only ever meant for protecting people. His hands shake and furry, seemingly about to be raised for a punch. Sandra intervenes. She threatens to end Wendell as well if Raoul tries to resist. As all of this is happening, the kids are still playing a game of stabbing with each other. Raoul, seeing this, faintly says, "Stop it." He looks broken, and with one of the kids saying, "Help me," as he stabs and eventually kills himself. Raoul's mind has been absolutely broken, just as Wendell intended. With this, Raoul truly begins to rage, shouting Sandra's name. But before he could do anything, he gets backhanded like he is the eye patch guy's bitch. This is honestly just pathetic, not gonna lie. Sandra then says that all this blood will have the princess pleased. And mind you, this is after the fact they killed an entire village. Wendell then brings out his most immaculate acting skills and starts pretending to be devastated about the dead children. Raoul, in worry, shouts out his name. Sandra then gets ready to depart to the royal capital with Wendell and Raoul. Raoul says Wendell is not fit to come, so they should leave Wendell and only take him. Sandra, of course, doesn't care and also calls Wendell a questionable name. At this point, Raoul is about to have his third crash-out moment, and just as he is powering up, he channels his inner British and calls Sandra wretched scum. Wendell, wincing in pain, is called out to by Raoul. Wasting no time, Sandra whispers into Wendell's ear, telling him to keep on acting. Raoul tells Wendell to keep walking and stay calm because he is going to save him. Wendell says, "Yeah," while hitting one of the nastiest smirks in the whole series, if we being real. And by the way, guys, would you like me to cover the General's Room chapters? They're pretty short but fairly interesting. Transitioning, we are told by the narrator what happened to Raoul after reaching the capital. The witnessing of his sister's expiration. The sentencing of his quote-unquote crime of massacring the village. And even him getting graped, to say the least, by the princess daily. We are directly shown she even beats Raoul regularly. Maybe some kind of BDSM. Stepping on Raoul's members, she asks if he will finally submit and become her manservant. While smirking, he says, "Like hell I would," and this sends the princess into pure rage. Later we are met with a sorry-looking Raoul who wonders what is happening with his former comrades, Wendell and Christiana. Well, it seems they're doing pretty well cause Wendell is sitting on a luxurious chair with women by his side, feeding him ripe, luscious fruit. He is honestly living the dream. As he is eating a grape fed to him by one of the women, he finds it so amusing how Raoul does not know how much he is enjoying. He thinks Raoul is still under the perception that he is also locked up in a cell somewhere. He adds that it is probably about time he goes to meet Raoul and make fun of him for the last time. He explains that Raoul is nothing more than a stepping stone to him, so he never cared about him. We then see a recap, ironically, of when Wendell first went to see Raoul and terrorized him. This is something we saw a few chapters ago. What we are seeing right now is a continuation of this. Wendell, with his hand up against his mouth, trying his best not to laugh, tells Raoul not to cry since he is the apparent great hero. Or maybe he would like to suck on his sister's bosom. But wait, isn't she already dead? In an attempt to further terrorize Raoul, he decides to reveal his most disgusting secret to Raoul. While you were wandering around after defeating the Demon King, do you know what happened at the corrupt church? Your older sister was violated. This is per the princess's decree. She was violated for days on end by the false priest. Wendell explains that she seemed to be interested in him, so he thought of possibly joining in, but after seeing what happened to her and her hole, he decided that it was too disgusting and that it would sully him as the Archmage. He even goes as far as calling Raoul's sister pure filth. He says of course Wendell would never get involved with such a dirty girl, so he shouldn't worry about that, but even then he was pretty surprised that the princess had her killed. He says that the princess felt the need to eliminate Raoul's older sister to hurt him. He goes into depth explaining that initially, they were going to let her give birth to the baby, then eliminate the baby, then her to maximize suffering. Raoul in a daze mumbles out why. Wendell says it is to of course hurt Raoul. Beating and physically harming him means nothing to Raoul, so they went after his loved ones. This breaks Raoul and we see him crying, and pretty hard too. But it wasn't for long because Raoul began to rage, telling Wendell not to insult his sister. Raoul tries to break the chains holding him, and we are met with more yapping from Wendell. He says that's impossible because those chains nullify even the magic power of demons. Raoul asks Wendell if he despises him that much, and Wendell takes official office as mayor of Yapville and narrates his whole thinking process. He says Raoul was always a stepping stone for him. The only reason why he ever became friends with Raoul was always to use him as a stepping stone. To reach the peak of their world, he manipulated Raoul into becoming the hero. Wendell even says, as a duo, they were pretty great. But then once the Demon King was subjugated, Raoul was the only obstacle in Wendell's way. But just as he was thinking of what to do, we see that the princess sent Wendell a letter, planning to collaborate on capturing Raoul. He calls Raoul an imbecile, and says he didn't even have to try to capture him. Raoul, with a mix of blood, dirt, and sweat dripping down his face, glares at Wendell with killing intent. Wendell doesn't like this, so as a favor and get back, he tells Raoul his future plans. So like the greedy snake he is, his first goal is to acquire money. How, you ask? Well, there is a rich noble and merchant, respectively Lord Dha Costa and Allingham. To be more specific, he knows the noble and merchant work together, and that the merchant makes money off of the demon slave trade, and that he can also make a lot of money from that. He actually plans to blackmail both of them because he also finds them repulsive while making his bread. Honestly, I have to respect the hustle, and I also find it funny how everyone, even losers like Wendell, find Allingham disgusting. Wendell says it is a pretty good plan because he gets to eliminate obstacles like the nobles while also making good money. But wait, you thought it stopped there? Hell no. This man's greed is like a black hole. He even plans to eventually overthrow the princess, then probably the king. He says that by selling out Raoul and getting closer to the princess, he gets to know a lot about the nobles. But honestly, why was he even worried? They're all clowns. Wendell even takes it a step further by calling the princess a whore. All she wants to do is mate with Raoul. She doesn't even talk that much. Being twisted, Wendell tells Raoul it's not so bad. I mean becoming the manservant of the princess. After all, even your buddy over there got hard from all the harassment. Also, this guy has made fun of both Raoul and his sister for getting raped. That's crazy. Anyway, he tells Raoul there is no reason to not accept the princess. Suddenly Raoul starts subbing. And I mean I don't blame him. Imagine losing all your friends, losing your family twice, finding out your whole life is a lie, and even losing your identity and job. Honestly, I would be subbing too. Probably jump off a bridge while I'm at it. Sarcastically raising both his hands, Wendell tells Raoul he has always hated him. He further says he never liked Raoul, even from the first day they met. He only ever tolerated him, and that all his actions were for him to dominate the entire kingdom. Turning around slowly, signaling he is about to leave. He tells Raoul that he should continue to assist him, and that he'll even leave to give the princess his message. The message being that Raoul would rather be executed than become the princess's dog. Hearing this, Raoul is unable to hold in his emotions, and it seems this is the start of the Raoul we all know and respect. He burst out in a violent rage. All of this is targeted at Wendell, but Wendell is unfazed. He just tells Raoul that he should be cheering for him from the other side, ending his final meeting with Raoul by saying, "See ya, crybaby Raoul." After this, Raoul was executed just like in the first few episodes. We come back to the present as we see a fairly awkward standoff between a confused and anxious Wendell and a happy, gleeful Raoul. Raoul tells him that he is the real deal. Wendell tells him that it is great that he gets to see crybaby Raoul once more. Raoul also says he is pleased to meet Wendell once again, and I think we all know why, haha. Wendell suddenly remembers something and asks Raoul about his revenge, particularly the eye for an eye rule Raoul has going. Wendell continues by pointing out Raoul can't kill him since he would never defy that rule. Raoul agrees with this, saying that Wendell only ever betrayed him. Raoul then uses telepathy to tell Ada to let him take care of Wendell. Ada begrudgingly agrees, telling Raoul to not go easy on him. After getting approval from Ada, Raoul puts on his game face, saying, "Let's see who can pull off a more savage act of revenge." Wendell notices this and asks what Raoul is mumbling about. Raoul clears his throat and says it's nothing. Quickly maintaining the flow of the conversation, Raoul states his purpose. He tells Wendell that he is here to offer a special show. Wendell is fairly confused by this, but with no time to react, Raoul uses magic, saying that it would be only right if Wendell gets a front row seat. Suddenly, the royal capital's Colosseum appears, and this seems to be the end of the chapter. I'm currently working on covering chapters 1 to 20 or so, and if you guys want, I'll also bring out some General Room episodes. Maybe weekly for the General's Room, then bi-weekly for the normal ones. We are also officially halfway through the series. Anyway, I hope you all have a blessed day and stay beautiful. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, a like or comment goes a long way. Goodbye.